So we know the 2025 Dodge Charger, the EV cars, are extremely heavy, nearly 6,000 pounds. If this car is going to be 6,000 pounds, how much is the one with the Hurricane engine going to weigh? Because it cannot weigh 6,000 pounds, right? So what I'm going to do here, based on some research I found, some numbers I was able to find here, I got an idea about how much this car should weigh. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through the math, and we're going to tell you about how much this car should weigh, and also, does this car have enough to beat the new 650 Mustang? Let's go ahead and drop the intro and drop a word from our sponsors to get into the video. Today's video is brought to you by CarLock, the world's best GPS tracking and alert system. With CarLock, you'll be able to get various alerts to monitor your car, such as vehicle movement, vehicle vibrations, engine starting. The unfortunate event that your CarLock gets disconnected, you will get an alert for that too. You can purchase your own CarLock by clicking on the link down below. That will give you a 10% discount on your CarLock purchase, as well as use my code to get a 14-day free trial with CarLock as well. Get you a CarLock, you deserve that peace of mind. Let's get into the video. YouTube family, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you're new here, we do a lot of car related things on this particular channel. You're in the right place for all of that, so make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. For those of you that have already done so, appreciate y'all so much. Let's hop into today's video. You see the title and you see the thumbnails. The new car is heavy, and that's been the main topic of what a lot of people's been mentioning and talking about. We know EVs are heavy, but Dodge took the EV and heavy and took it to a whole nother level. This new 2025 Dodge Charger Scatpack RT EV cars are nearly 6,000 pounds. That is crazy heavy. But we also know, based on the Dodge video and stuff like that, a lot of people are not feeling those cars anyway. People don't like electric cars. People probably won't buy those cars as much as they would the Sixpack, the one with the Hurricane engines in them. And the thing I've been looking at, and the thing a lot of people has been asking, is how much will that car weigh? We don't care about the EV car. We want to know how much the Sixpack is going to weigh. So I was able to do some research on that, trying to find the weight of the batteries and stuff like that. And I do have a pretty close estimate about how much this car should weigh. So I'm gonna break down the numbers for you guys, and we're going to compare that power to weight ratio to some of the competitors and see does it have enough. Let's hop into that. So before I get into the numbers, the main thing that I want to mention is, I mentioned this on the last video here, is that first off, the size of this car is bigger than the current generation Charger. With that being said, I don't recall a car getting bigger and getting lighter. So this should tell you about where we're going to go with the weight of this new car with the Hurricane engines in it. So just to give you an idea how much bigger this car is, quick dimensions over the car. So the wheelbase is almost an inch longer. The overall length of the car is about 8 inches longer than the current generation Charger. So if you had issues getting your Charger into the garage, you're definitely gonna have issues getting the Sixpack into the garage as well. And the width of the car is almost 4.5 inches wider. And to put that into perspective, this car is almost as wide as a Ford F-150 truck. So this car is a big one. Both the EV and the one with the Hurricane engine are the same size. We know the EV is heavier, but I just want to give you an idea how much bigger this car is over the current platform. We already know about how much the current platform weighs, and to be honest with you, I don't recall any car that got bigger it got lighter. The only way you can make it lighter is carbon fiber, and I don't think they built this car with carbon fiber. So we can expect the weight to go up. But we got more power. We have 550 horsepower now. So will that power be enough for the weight of this car? So let's go ahead and dive into the numbers. We got a lot of math to work through, but luckily I have a PhD in mathematics. Okay, I don't have a PhD in mathematics, but I know enough about math, and this should give us an idea how much this car should weigh. So let me break down the numbers for you guys. So the first thing we have to figure out with this car is we have to separate the battery from the rest of the car. We got to figure out how much that battery weighs and get it away from and cut that weight out of the overall weight of the car. So the thing about this, I did some research on the battery, trying to figure out how much it weighs. I wasn't able to find any concrete numbers on this, but I did find an article, and I can show you here kind of why we're going this route. This article stated that typically the battery can be up to 25% of the car's overall weight. We're only going to focus on current weight, because gross weight, we're not, it's that current weight only is what we're working on. Let me just say that. So about 25% of the car's weight for EV is due to the battery. So with us knowing that 25% of the weight of the car is due to the battery itself, so let's figure out 25% from 5,800, right? So 25% of 5,800, that would give us the weight of the battery of about 1,450. Now what we have to do here, we have to take that 1,450, subtract it back from the overall total weight of the car, and that would give us the weight of 4,350 without the engine. So that's pretty important there. 4,350 is the weight that we have of the car, but there's a catch. Our car does not have an engine. Now we do have to add an engine back to the car. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky on figuring out the actual weight of the car, because when we did the original calculations of taking away the weight of the battery from the car, we only took away the weight of the battery, from the total weight of the car. We didn't account for the electric motors or any of that from the car. Unfortunately, wasn't able to figure out the actual weight of the electric motors. I tried to see if there's a typical weight that these can go in, but the weights are all over the place. Like a Lucid, they have an electric motor that weighs about 70 pounds. I think Tesla's motor weigh about 200 pounds. So it's all over the place, right? But as I stated, this is the 4,350 is the weight of the car without the engines, but we do have the weight of the Hurricane engine. But we know the engine, internal combustion engine, has different things that that a battery powered vehicle will not have. Like we're going to have a differential drivetrain, a full drivetrain there. We're going to have like transmission, all that type of stuff that's going to be on this versus the other one. So my thought and my theory that all that's going to balance out, we're going to assume that. Of course, I can't unfortunately get the numbers on all of that, but we're going to assume all of that is going to, the electric motors and all that stuff is going to equal the weight of the Hurricane drivetrain. But let's go ahead and add the weight of the engine back to the car. Let me go ahead and put the number that we're working with here. 4,350 is the weight of the car without the engine. So I'm going to put it up here so we can keep remembering that. The weight of the Hurricane engine, this is the dry weight. This does not account for any fluids whatsoever in the engine. So the weight of that engine is 430 pounds. That is for the standard output, but however, the high output will give you a weight of 441 pounds. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go with the high output here with the most power. We're going to put that into the car, so that should give us the most this car may weigh. So now what we're doing here, we're taking the 4,350 is the weight of the new 2025 Charger without an engine. We're adding the 441 pounds for the Hurricane engine back to the car, and this is straight off the internet. This would have told me it weighs 441 pounds. Oh, that's what we'll see. So that would give us a total weight for this 2025 Charger with the Hurricane engine in it to be around about 4,791 pounds for this car. To put that into perspective, compared to the current car, the current Charger weighs 4,586. So we're looking at a 200-pound increase in weight. I told you it wasn't gonna get any lighter. Dodge is really loving these heavy cars. All of this weight and stuff is pretty much just an estimate and based on educated guesses on what I found on the internet for these different items and things like that. So the car could be lighter than 4,791. It could be heavier. Of course, the different options that you have in the car will play a factor in that. Different wheels could play a factor in that. A lot of things could play a factor into how much this car weighs. And plus, we know that the car's gonna come in a 2-door and a 4-door option. The 4-door is more than likely gonna be heavier than the 2-door, even though I think the chassis is gonna be the same size. So a lot of factors at play here, but I can say that I think this is about where we're gonna land with the weight of this car. 4,791, the heaviest Charger ever. And yeah, that kind of sucks. We're dealing with another heavy car. So I know the next thought is this, guys. So I know everybody's thinking like, okay, it's heavier, but it's got more power. Will the power be enough to negate the weight of the car? So what I want to do is I want to look up the power to weight ratio of the current car that we have now versus the new Charger. So I was able to get the power to weight ratio for this particular car. So this is what we're looking at for a power to weight ratio versus the current generation Charger for the next 2025 Charger here. So of course, our horsepower for the cars, we're looking at 485 and 550. We went ahead with the high output for the 550 there, just because that's kind of the weight of the engine that we calculated. Of course, when we take away and go to the lower engine, that's going to hurt the power to weight ratio, because you're going to still have a heavy car, but going to have a less powerful engine in there. So we went as much power we can put into the car here. So 550 versus 485, our weight difference 4791 versus the 4586 there, about 200-pound difference. So power to weight ratio here, and I'm going to highlight all that for you. For the current Charger that we have now, the power to weight ratio is 0.106 is the power weight ratio, but the new Charger will have a better power to weight ratio, which is 0.115. So we got a better power to weight ratio out of the new car. But the $1 million question is it better than the Mustang? It does the power to weight ratio in the new car, how does it match up with the Mustang? So I'm gonna put the whole chart up here. I'm gonna show you what we got here. So you can see here, if you look at the chart, I highlighted in yellow the fields that you want to pay attention to here. So the first field is the horsepower. The 480, of course, is the new 650 Mustang, and then you have the 550 for the high output Hurricane engine for the Charger, and the 485 is the current generation here. So you can see the weight. You can see the weight for the cars. The Mustang is 1,000 pounds lighter than the new 2025 Charger. We're already starting out pretty terrible. And of course, it's lighter than the current gen Charger. We already knew that. Power to weight ratio, this is the key thing here. We still do not have enough to have a better power to weight ratio than the Mustang. You know, we always talk about power to weight ratio when it comes to racing, and we're not, again, we're behind that area. You can see 0.127 for the power to weight ratio of the Mustang versus, you know, 0.115 versus 0.106. So we are lacking there. But I want to put this into perspective as to how much horsepower you would need to equal the same power to weight ratio as the Mustang with the new 2025 Charger. So all things equal, and we're only raising the horsepower, you're going to need about 610 horsepower just to have the same power to weight ratio that the Mustang already has. Based on that, based on the current horsepower figures, I don't think you're just going to get that with the tune. So worst power to weight ratio. So is Dodge cooked already with this new Charger? Is it already going to get beat by the Mustang? So I would say this: the all-wheel drive in the new Charger is definitely going to make it a monster when it comes to dig racing. If you go to the drag strip and you're doing that type of racing, it will hold its own at that point. The only thing you might have to worry about is the Mustang gets traction at the top end of the dragway. That's where it could catch you and pass you at that point. But on paper, it looks like, I mean, with the all-wheel drive, I would give it to the Charger. Now, if you're doing a roll race, that's a different story. Traction's not an issue at that point. It's pretty much who's the lightest and the better power to weight ratio at that point, and that's where the Mustang is going to shine. So if you get one of these new Chargers, I don't expect you to beat a Mustang in a roll race. I won't be shocked if I start seeing videos of new 2025 Chargers losing to Mustang in roll races. Please stick to dig racing so you at least have a chance. So that's kind of the end of the video right there. So the new Charger is heavy all the way around. Even the one with the inline six engine is going to be 200 pounds heavier at least than the current generation Charger. So the boat jokes will continue on to the next generation. The all-wheel drive is about the only thing that can save this car. So dig racing, you should be good, but roll racing, you might struggle a little bit. But then again, aerodynamics. Aerodynamics could play a factor. I'm not sure how much more aerodynamic this new Charger is versus the old one. Just kind of looking at it, it's probably going to be less aerodynamic because of the fact it's more boxier than the current Charger is. This current Charger was way more aerodynamic than the Challenger because of the fact it was more curvier. And I think they took a step back in that aspect to go with the more retro look. So I don't foresee aerodynamics being in this car's favor. So we're looking at a car that's heavier, less aerodynamic, not enough power in a sense. So I don't think I don't think roll races are going to be favorable for that particular car. That's where we are with that, right? But let me know your thoughts. Drop some comments down below of your thoughts. How do you feel about the weight of this particular car? Again, we just took some educated guesses on the car to see about where we land, but I don't think it's going to be too far from that. Car is bigger everywhere, wider, longer, all that type of stuff. So it's no way that car's gonna be lighter. It's going to go up in weight. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you made it this far, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Watch around for the long haul and for all the things we have going on this particular channel. We will catch you on the next video. We're out. Cut it.